Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 3E Visions Presents The Business Conversation. I'm your host, founder and owner of 3E Visions, Rhonda Watson. And once again, thank you for being here tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Happy Winning Wednesday to all. I hope you had a wonderful and successful day today. Tonight, we are going to have author and relationship coach Teriece Cherell on to discuss her book, Live, Learn, and Love with an Open Heart. I'm going to pin her information so that everyone can have it. You can go to her website, www. So I want everyone to be able to go to her website. So before we start, I just wanted to share with you some customer service tips. One important tip, and I'm going to be giving out more tips more often because it is crucial now that we definitely get some customer service enhancement going on to nowadays. And one of the tips I want to share with business owners is designate one person to be your right hand. When you're not in, if you have a brick and mortar business, please have someone there who's authorized to act on your behalf. I know a lot of you saying, well, Rhonda, I know that, but a lot of business owners don't implement. A lot of business acknowledge certain things, they accept certain things, but they don't apply. And one of the things that you should apply, and you don't have to, but you should apply, having someone there designated to have authority, the same authority as you, or at least anywhere from 75% of the authority as you do. The reason being is that customers don't like to hear, oh, the owner's not here, so I can't do anything. It's it's an inconvenience. It's very distracting to them, and it makes them feel that they're not appreciated. Someone in your business should really be able, when you're not there, to be able to be in charge and make decisions. If you don't have anyone, you should be training someone to do that for you. You should have someone available that you can trust to do those things. When you're not around, they have the authority to do what you will do. So I just wanted to share that with you because recently someone shared with me that they went somewhere and they wanted to speak to the owner, but the owner wasn't there. And instead of being able to get the customer satisfaction that they were looking for, they didn't get it simply because no one was authorized to do the return or, yes, and take the complaint and make something happen for them. So they were very perturbed about the situation, and they said they will never, ever go back to that place. And you can't blame them. You know, if someone leaves dissatisfied, 9 times out of 10, they're not returning. I know recently I went into a hair supply store, and I know I'm not going back there because the young lady was very disrespectful behind the counter. And that's not the first time. Many moons ago, I went to the same beauty supply store thinking that, I can get the service that I need. And I went back and they have a new young lady there, and it was no difference. So to owners of businesses, this is the time now for you to be mindful of who you're hiring to represent your business. That's what it is in a nutshell. You have to hire people that you can trust. You have to hire people that will be responsible and respectful to your customers as well as to your business. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I want to bring on author and coach Teriece Cherell at this time. Coach Cherell, are you there?
Can you see me?
I can't see you, Coach Cherell. I'm seeing
Oh, because the
yes,
phone.
there you are. Hello, beautiful. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the 3E Visions business conversation. I greatly appreciate it. I want to give, of course, honor and thanks to God for us being here together. How is the weather where you are?
Well, it's okay now. A little while ago, it was raining pretty badly, flooding in some parts. So it was pretty heavy. It slacked up where I am. So
Okay.
hopefully that's the end of it for tonight.
I
So
hope
hopefully
so
it doesn't
too.
come through again. Sometimes I'm in New Orleans. Sometimes you
Right.
get that good hard rain and it causes damage with street flooding and different things of that nature. So I was able to make it home safely after maneuvering in it, but I'm home
Mhm.
safe, thank you, and it's kind of
Thank
slacked up.
you. Thank you. Thank you. So let's get started because it's Wednesday night and it is the middle of the week and we got 2 more days to get through. So who is Coach Cherell?
That seems like a relatively easy question to answer because the first things that come to mind are titles. Who am I?
Mhm.
I'm a mother. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. I'm a child of God and all those things. But really, I am just a woman who is dedicated to helping others, to serving others in whatever capacity that I can, specifically in my coaching and relationship field, because I believe that relationships are the greatest lessons and blessings of our lives. And oftentimes we don't really acknowledge and appreciate relationships as we should. So really, I'm just trying to help people understand the importance of relationships and how they truly shape us into who we are. So outside of all those other titles, I'm just a woman. I'm just a good person that's just trying to help people get it right.
Okay. So tell us about your book, Live, Learn, Love with an Open Heart.
So the idea of the book was basically pretty much what I share relative to relationships, just helping people to really appreciate them. And for me, as I thought about the different relationships that shaped me into the woman that I am, it all boiled down to living, learning, and loving. And I believe that if you can do that to the best of your capacity or to the best of your capability, then you pretty much figure this life out because that's pretty much what God wants us to do. Learn about Him, love ourselves, love others, and be able to live with others and with ourselves. So it came about as a part of the All Access Foundation with CC Harrison. It was an initiative, a nonprofit women's mentoring organization. And one of the initiatives was writing a book. I used to write poetry back in the day, and at about 8 or 9 years old, I started writing what would have been my first book. So just thinking about growing up, childhood experiences, different things of that nature. And of course, as we get older, other things occupy that space and time relative to the writing. So I kind of put it to the side. I didn't do it as much anymore. But I always loved to read and to write. And for me, reading was like an escape. It's another world. Like I love books, I love reading, and I will become absorbed in the stories. I will become the character, become a part of their life or whatever it was that they had going on. So that was something that I always wanted to do in a sense. But it wasn't something pressing. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be an author one day. It was, I used to write poetry. I used to write and I didn't do it anymore. I grew up. Other things occupying that space and time. And like I said, it came back. Sometimes life will do that. It will bring it back to you at the time that it's meant for you. So it came back around. I was ready. She said, well, do you want to write about? I said, I want to write about relationships. And the funny thing is, she asked, are you in a relationship? And we laughed about it because usually when you hear the word relationship, most people tend to go to romantic. That's the gist that they think about relationships. They don't think about the relationship with your family or your friends or your finances. or the
Mm.
relationship, with your spouse or your children or yourself, or even your relationship with God and your faith. They don't
Yeah.
really think about those relationships when you say the word relationship. So I really wanted to tie it all in and bring it back together because relationships are so multifaceted. And as I speak about the different types of relationships in the book, I learned that all relationships are not created equally. There's different levels, there's different types. But if you really look at relationships, each relationship is designed to teach you about something. You can learn about life, you can learn about yourself, and you can learn about others. And even the relationships that don't work out so well, there is still a lesson and blessing to be learned from that relationship. You were meant to gain something from it. You were meant to give something to it. And even then, it's still a part of the lessons and blessings of life.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm gonna hold off on relationships for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, because full disclosure, I was looking forward to this conversation before I got hacked. Shout out to my hacker out in Nigeria. So
All right.
yeah. Yeah. But I want to before we get into relationships,
Mm-hmm.
what were some of the challenges? I have written obstacles, but I don't like really using that
Mm-hmm.
terminology. What are some of the challenges you encountered publishing your book? Your book is a paperback as well as Kindle on Amazon. You can
Yes,
find
it
it on
is.
Amazon. So, what were some of the challenges that you faced?
Well, the challenges you mean relative to the publishing or the
Yeah,
writing or the process period?
the process period. Let's say that.
The initial process, the challenges were more so of internal things, relative to deadlines, trying to meet the deadline, um, the sacrifices that I had to make, late nights, early mornings, not being able to, hang out with friends and family and do the things that I used to do prior to, because I had a focus. And when you're trying to accomplish a goal, you have to prioritize. And I had to see, what was important. Well, I have this project that I'm working on. It's something that I want to do, but it's something that's going to help and bless others. So I needed to put some things and some people to the side so that I could focus on the goal, so that
Mhm.
I could meet the deadline. And there were personal things that was going on. I was in a relationship and I wasn't in a relationship at the same time, and
Mhm.
life was happening. I lost my oldest brother during the process of writing a book. So life is always going to happen. There's always going to be something or someone going on, and you can't just put everything on pause.
Mhm.
You have to, still deal with it. So in the midst of all that, I still had to keep going because I knew that I had an end goal in mind. I knew that I had a deadline. I knew that this book, needed to be published. And that's why I say sacrifices. It requires some things of me. So late nights, early mornings, getting my writing schedule, making sure that I stuck to the schedule that I set for myself in order to accomplish the goal. And even when I fell short of that, I always came back. Well, maybe I didn't write as much this day because after I lost my brother, I didn't write for days, maybe
Mhm.
weeks, because I didn't really feel that motivation. I'm pretty much usually self-motivated. Um, but sometimes, you get motivation from outside sources, from people. I'm very inspired by nature when I take my walks, and
Mhm.
see the ducks and, the birds and the squirrels. I'm very inspired by nature. So it was very important for me, even in the midst of going through that and having to process and deal with those feelings, of my brother um, no longer being here and having to deal with that I still had to go on. So even in the days when I didn't feel like writing or I didn't write, I knew that I had to pretty much kind of catch up on the back end. Like, okay, look, you're dealing with this, you didn't write, but hey, you can't lose sight. You can't lose track. And
Mhm.
oftentimes when life is happening and there's a lot of things going on, sometimes we lose sight, of the goal, and we lose track because we're so caught up in what's going on. And there's nothing wrong with taking a pause. And as Coach Tina would say, pause on purpose. Sometimes you do need to take that pause, to make that shift, because you know that it's needed and it's necessary for you to get better in the end. So I
Mhm.
knew that I needed to get back on track after, getting out of my pause, that I needed to come back and go harder, go stronger, because this message was definitely going to bless someone, to bless people. And that was also a relationship that I was going to speak about. So just being able to navigate that, and not lose heart, or to not beat myself up even when I, got off focus or lost track a little bit, but being able to pick up the pieces and keep going. Being able to use that as the inspiration and motivation to say, hey, I really have to finish this. I have to finish this book. I mean, I have my daughter. She was one of my biggest fans and supporters, and she was excited about it. So I had some internal things, but I also had some external things
Mhm.
that were pushing me and motivating me to continue the process as well.
Well, my condolences to you and your family on the loss of your
Thank
brother. Um, you have a master's in business. Did that help out? I had to do my homework. I had to make sure. Cum laude. You did the
you.
thing.
You
You
did
did.
your homework.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta do your homework. You gotta do your homework. So, how did that help you as far as getting on Amazon? Being Amazon author. How did that?
Well, I'm going to be honest. It didn't really play a big role and big factor in it. It gave me the basic knowledge and information. It taught me what to look for and how to research. But actually, the process was pretty simple. And I say that because it's also about the power of connections, connecting with the right people at the right time. So it was actually another author that pushed me, like, are you on Amazon yet? I'm like, no, I'm just on my website. Girl, you need to be on Amazon. Go to Amazon KDP. And she was like, this is what you do. And so she gave me the basics. And of course, I went on there and researched. And it's pretty simple. Once you kind of get around and play with it and navigate it, of course, Google and YouTube are our best friends now. You can learn everything about everything. But just being open to taking suggestions and taking advice from people who've been there. We're all new to something at some point in time, and being able to utilize the resources that God gives us, whether it's in the form of another person or or a thing. He will give you exactly what you need when you need it. So it was just being open and able to connect with other people more so than it was actually putting my degree to use. So with that, I did have the basic, but I actually had to get in there and apply that.
Okay, so what advice would you give to a person thinking about sharing their story and becoming an author?
I would say do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. I would say relative to, there is no right or wrong way to write relative to the process. But what helped me was I had an outline. So I knew exactly where I wanted to go relative to the types of relationships that I wanted to speak about in my book. I knew I wanted to address my relationship with my faith, with my family, with my friends, with my finances, and then later on get into the relationship with my daughter, with my spouse, or future spouse, with
Mhm.
myself, just looking at all of those relationships. So I would say have an outline or at least know what it is that you want to speak about. And don't buckle yourself down. Those things can be changed later, but at least have a basic idea. You can't be all over the place. You need to at least have a topic or theme that you want to address. And from there, I would just say write. Write everything that comes to mind. Anytime I'm in the library, I'm in a line at the post office, I'm doing other things, I have my phone notes, just ideas that come to mind. Because you're not always able to write. When I'm driving, I voice record. I can't write a text at that time. So I put the recorder on and I just record different things that come to mind. I do that when I'm walking as well. I can always go back home later and organize the thoughts, write more or do whatever it is that I need to do. But just make sure that you are getting it out. Organization and structure can be done later. The second thing I would say is get you a system. I know some people, when you look it up, they try to have a daily word count. Like they try to write, so many words a day or so many words a week. That may work for you as well. For me, I didn't really stick to it like, oh, I'm going to write 300 words a day. Sometimes I will be motivated and write more. Sometimes you may write a couple of sentences or a few paragraphs.
Mhm.
So you have to learn not to beat yourself up just because you can't reach the goal of writing 200 to 300 words every day. Like I said, some days you're going to have more, some days you're going to have less. Some days you may not even feel like writing at all.
Okay.
So don't do it if you don't feel like it. But there's always something else. Read, watch TV, have conversations. Those are different type of things that can spark your mind to thinking about your topic. You may see something on social media, a TikTok or the news or just TV in general. And it's like, you know what? I was thinking something similar, and then that inspires you to write.
Mhm.
Whether
Mhm.
you're writing about your particular topic or you're just writing about something else. I would say to journal, to reflect. All of this is helping you get into the practice of writing. That's what we want to do, right? We want to write. So we know Chris the Purpose Pusher, shout out to Chris, with She First
Mhm.
Purpose, is doing her 30 days of purpose journaling.
Mhm.
So she started out with the prompts, journaling prompts to get you to write, and then she's on the free write. I like Coach Shannon say yes. Set the
Mhm.
mood. I love a candle. I love my music. I love to, have a nice environment that kind of puts me in the mindset. When
Okay.
I'm home and the weather is beautiful, I sit on my balcony. I may
Okay.
have my little glass of wine or whatever it is. So find something that works for you. But for me, especially during that time, I noticed that the 2:30, 3 o'clock time was like when my mind would just be gone. The house was quiet, everything was dark. I would light my candle or put on my nightlight, play my music on my laptop, and that's when the thoughts would just flow through me. And I would write from about 2:30, 3 o'clock to about 6 o'clock in the morning when it was time to get my daughter up for school and get ready for work. And once
Mhm.
I started doing it, like, the first couple of times I set my alarm. And then after that, it was just like it
Mhm.
became a habit. So I would just
Mhm.
wake up around that time. I slept with my laptop in the bed. I had my notebook in the bed. So on my nightstand, I keep different journals, different notebooks. I have my devotionals, and I always keep a pen because you never know when you're going to get a good idea or a good thought.
Mhm.
And you don't want to, oh, I'll do it later, because it's never the way that you think about it. If you don't write it
Mhm.
down or voice record or do a little note, then it won't come back to you that same way. You may remember parts of it, but it's
That's
never like that
everything.
first time. And that
Mhm.
happens to me a lot. I notice when I'm taking a shower as well. I don't know if it has something to do with the water, like flowing freely, but
Mhm.
I kind of compare it to my thoughts flow as freely. Like the water going, my thoughts going. This is great. So I do bring the phone in there to
Mhm.
voice record, because I know when I get out the shower, I have missed that thought. It won't
Mhm.
be the way it needs to be. Now, sometimes it's better because, it can be better, but it's just something about that first thought and the way that it goes through your mind. It's like, this
Mhm.
is the one.
Yeah.
So definitely what
No,
you
go
gonna
ahead.
say?
No, no, you go ahead. Finish.
Definitely, I was just about to do a quick recap. Get you a system. That works, like I said, the outline maybe, but don't be so buckled down. You can always come back to it later. You can always change it. But the most important thing is that you write. Just write,
Absolutely.
just write, just write.
Yeah.
Don't
I was going
edit.
to
Don't
say,
worry about how it sounds. Just
right.
write.
I was going to say about the elements. Everyone has their own inspiration. So for me, it's water as well. I know for some people, it's fire, it's the earth, it's just being outside and letting the wind blow. So everyone on this planet has an element that gives them that divine, it carries that divine idea with it. They get inspired behind it. So yeah, it's easy. So I want to get into relationships now. Before I ask
Oh,
you my very last, yeah, because you're a relationship coach. So full
yes.
disclosure, you were topic of conversation with my therapist and myself. Yeah, I go to therapy. I got a lot of stuff with me. I'm trying to,
We all do.
yeah. So we were talking about love. she's new. She's my new therapist because my former therapist had an emergency, so she's no longer taking clients. But my new therapist, we were talking about love, and she asked me the question, where did I see Black love? And I was giving her the scenario of my family and where I saw Black love. And it wasn't the way I formulated it. We got into another topic, and I asked the question, is there still Black love? And I wanted to ask that of you. Is there still Black love?
Yes, I would definitely say yes. And it's a beautiful thing when you see it, and it's a beautiful thing when you experience it. And what I want to say about love is relative to what I just said, it's an experience. And people experience it differently. And I think a part of that is the way they experience. So I usually say people love you the best way that they know how, based on, the love that they did or did not receive. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a right or wrong thing. It just means that that was their experience with it. And, experiences can change. So you have to be open and willing to teach someone how to love you. And you also have to be open and willing to learn from that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's a twofold. Like I said, relationships are multifaceted. They're two-way streets. So with the live, learn, love, it's with an open heart. So your heart has to be open to give and to receive.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to give me something and I'm not trying to receive it, that's not going to work. And vice versa. So you have to be willing to learn and teach, and the other person has to be willing to learn and teach. So yes, I believe in it. I love it. It's possible for all of us if that's what we truly want and desire. And the other thing that I say is we are loved because we are created in God's image and likeness. So we are already the thing that we want. It just has to manifest. We're already loved. Now, I may not know that, or you may not know that, but it's already inside of us. So the person that we're trying to display or demonstrate that love to, they have to see it. And for me, that comes with seeing ourselves the way that God sees us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My niece made a comment. She's 17. She made a comment when she saw a TikTok influencer on, and he revealed that he's coming out of the closet.
Okay.
And I hope, and I don't want to, if it's a boundary issue, I understand. Her concern as a young woman is, are there any men for them? How does a parent answer that question when it comes to our young women and our young men looking for love? How do we say to them, with God, of course, you try to instill God in them as much as possible. How now with social media being social media, how do
Right.
you answer that question when it comes to relationships for our young people? Because they're experiencing and experimenting differently, more
Yeah.
open. Because I know growing up there was discretion.
Right.
More young people don't have that now because of social media. So how do you really answer that question in a loving, respectful way?
The question of, is there anyone for me, or will there be
Oh,
anyone for me?
yeah, will there be anyone for me? Because they're now looking at what's coming out, and it's a lot of bisexuality, you know, no offense to the LGBTQIA community, but some of our heterosexual daughters and sons are asking, will there
Uh-huh.
be anyone for them? You know?
My answer would be yes,
Hmm.
because I believe that there's someone for everyone. So yes, there is someone for you.
Hmm.
They may not be here and I mean in your, your area. But I do believe that yes, there is someone for everyone. And you have to make sure that you are in, to the extent that you can, I'll say that, a position. It for me, it's about timing. It's so many factors relative to that. It's about timing. It's about being in the right place at the right time. It's about meeting the right person. So I think
Mhm.
about all those factors, and that actually gives me hope because there is someone out there. And when you are meant to meet that person, you will. Not a minute before, not a minute less. Now you're gonna meet some people in between that time, but
Mhm.
that's going back to the all relationships are lessons and blessings, allowing people, maybe they're a friend. Every person is not our person in the relationship sense. So every guy or male friend that I have is not my man. He may just be a friend. He may just be a mentor. He may just be a brother. So knowing what category to place a person in, and you don't know that initially. When I meet you, or when you meet the person, you don't know what category or what role they're going to play. You meet
Mhm.
them, they're interested in you, you're interested in them, and then you kind of go from there. So you don't really know, hey, you a friend, you're more. You don't know that at the time, but as you get to know the person, as time progresses, you'll kind of see and it'll feel right. Okay, maybe we're cool here. Maybe we want to give it a try and see if it can go further. But
Mhm.
yes, there is, I really do believe that there is someone for everyone
Mhm.
out there. But the key for me is not to get so focused on there being a person out there, but making sure that you're doing what it is that's necessary for you. So when
Mhm.
God does bless you with that person, or you do meet that person, you're already on track to the extent that you can be.
Right.
So, we're still working on ourselves. We're still doing those things that are necessary for us.
Mhm.
So when that person comes, hey, we just gonna we just gonna be like, ooh, we just gonna fit
Absolutely.
together. And
Absolutely.
and then it goes like that, from my
Okay.
opinion.
Okay. So one more bonus question.
Okay.
Should people invest in a matchmaker?
What you mean, like in a matchmaking service?
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
gonna okay.
because the reason why I'm asking is that I live in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
It's challenging to, and I'm starting to really believe I need to be in another town somewhere else. I'm so serious. Coach Shira, I am so serious. I'm really starting to think.
Um,
A friend of mine had said to me, certain people are born certain places, but they're not meant to be there forever. I'm starting to really believe that.
I
Um,
do too.
yeah, because she even said to me, with the way you like to politic and you about the community, she always said that to me. You need to be in a small town with your New York ideas to help build up that town. So she said, and that's where your husband, you'll find your next husband.
So when you
She said, in a
moving?
small town. Well, my girls are in high school, so
Okay.
I have to take that into consideration. And
Yes, you
trust
do.
me, I
Yes, you
really
do.
thought about it. Yeah, I'm really thinking about it. But I noticed that a lot of people are going to coaching, consulting, and matchmaking. So I wanted to know, should people invest in those three entities when they're looking for a mate? Should they
I would
consider?
definitely I would definitely say the coaching. Most definitely. I'm not really sure about the matchmaking. I haven't done it personally. So it's more like a personal preference. If they want to go that route, I think it's actually interesting. And there are a lot of different avenues out there. I know we have Facebook dating. I know there's plenty of fish. They have black people meet. They have all kinds
Mhm.
of, look at April saying, come to Russellville, Kentucky. I guess she's telling you that. Can I come to
Yeah.
April? Should I come too? Um, but I think, it's all types of things out there. It's just what you are open to and what you want. I'm sorry, this is Pastor
Yeah.
G. So you have to be
Yes,
extremely
Pastor. You're
careful
right.
with those.
Yes.
That's right, Pastor G. People are
Yeah.
not genuine in person. even
Yeah.
more. That's very true.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is probably one of the biggest things that have kept me away from online dating. I'm like, I meet people in person that's crazy. I don't need to go on the website to meet people. Now, on the flip side of that, it just depends. Like, I have a friend who actually met her husband online. So I know people who have worked for and was successful for. I haven't necessarily had any success in doing it myself. And one of the reasons is because I'm kind of afraid of online because people are, so crazy. They can be crazy in person, but at least you kind of know when you meet them, maybe, or after you meet them, as
Mhm.
opposed to being catfish and all those things by not knowing exactly who you're talking to.
Mhm.
So I think it's more so of a personal thing. Now the coaching, yes. The matchmaking, that's a little different. But I know some sites that are very particular,
Mhm.
about the process, the selection. You can pick, you can, actually do all that, or they help set that up. And, from the reviews and testimonials I see, if that's true, people, seem to like that and have met their spouses on there too.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
I would just be very, very careful about it. Definitely do your research on the sites, the service, as well as the person that you're actually, going to start that process with. But it is interesting. And like I said, I do know people who have actually found,
The
mates and
perception.
spouses on there.
Mhm. Mhm. So my last question for you is, what is the legacy that you want to leave in the earth? You are a child of the Most High God. You have done an extraordinary job with your book as well as your relationship coaching business. What's your legacy?
That's a great question because when I think about the book, Live, Learn, Love, the third section, the love section, is loving the legacy. And that's the legacy that I'm leaving not only to my child, but the future generations. And when I think about the legacy, it's a legacy of hope and inspiration. It's a legacy of wanting to help people get better and do better and be better. Letting them know that it doesn't matter where you come from. Letting them know that it doesn't matter what past mistakes that you've made. Your past doesn't have to dictate your present or determine your future. As long as you are focused and determined and you're a good person and you remain faithful and you try to do right and live right, that everything will work out just the way that it's meant to be. God will align everything in the way that he should. So just being a person of service and making sure that you're giving more than you're trying to get, from relationships, from people, just making sure that you are doing and being the best that you can and encouraging other people to do the same.
Okay. All right. Are there any other parting words you would like to share with us before we give everyone back their evening?
I just want to thank you all for jumping on. Thank all my family and friends for jumping on to support. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity and having me to come back. I know we had our initial date that we weren't able to go through due to your hacker,
Yes.
but I believe that we're here when we're meant to be. So I just thank you for that opportunity and extending it to me again. And I just want to remind everyone to live, learn, and love with an open heart. That's the only way that you can give and receive the pure, unconditional love of God is if your heart is open. And if you can do those things, if you can live, learn, and love to the best of your ability, you pretty much figure this life out. Um, Rhonda has been so gracious as to pin my website there. So please feel free to check out my website first. Yes, my book is on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and Walmart.com, but I would suggest I encourage you to go to my website first. I have t-shirt, I have coffee mugs, I have wine glasses. You can also find out more information about me as well as my relationship coaching. And just jump on board, become a part of the Live, Learn, Love family. Make sure to subscribe so that you can know when my next book is coming out. I have a few more projects. My audio book is coming. My devotional is coming. My affirmation cards are coming. So definitely be in the lookout or be on the lookout for everything LLL. That's my triple L. Live, Learn, Love with an open heart. And me, author Cherell.
Well, I want to thank you, Coach. I appreciate you being here tonight. And may you continue to live an abundant life. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
And thank you. Good night, everyone. See you soon.
Good night. So, ladies and gentlemen, oh, did we get that? Let's see how we. Okay, nope. Okay, now I remember. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us this evening. Next week, we're going to talk about money. Yes, money. Deb Howard, the money mogul, will be on site on Instagram with me next week. We're talking about money and how it is affecting our community. And I look forward 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 Central Time here on Instagram Live. I want to thank Coach Cherell for being here tonight. It was a real good conversation, and I'm so grateful for her for having this conversation with me. Please check out her website. I pinned it here. And I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening and supporting us. I greatly appreciate it. May your May you be blessed, may you be well, and may you be safe. Until we see each other again next week, Wednesday, have a wonderful night and a prosperous remaining week. And may all your dreams and your businesses be successful. Good night and be well.